How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Friday here on the show, and this show right here is the calm before the storm. Because it all starts... Guess it really all started... Well, it's never ended. But tonight we got SmackDown, which is the go-home show for a lot of shows this weekend. We have got Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor also tonight at 8 Eastern. And we've got All In tomorrow, which is at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We have the Great American Bash also at 3 Eastern. We have Saturday night's main event at 8 Eastern. We have got Evolution on Sunday, and it just keeps going from there. So we're going to give you the lineups for all of the shows. Lots been added to All In, including the pre-show, and some predictions as well, because I got a couple of predictions I want to make for this weekend. Whether they happen or not, I don't know, but I want them to happen, because it just feels like that'd be right. And we could talk all the news. We could do the Collision report, because Collision was last night. If you missed it, it was last night. And we'll do everything else as well. Lance Storm is the co-host here today, so we can talk some TNA news, because there's a lot of news coming out of TNA as well. Just very, very busy. The show's going to fly by, so get ready. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. F4W Online at gmail.com. F4W Online Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. And I'm at Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. Subscribe on X. We're going to have a lot of Twitter-related fun coming up this weekend with the X subscriber community. You don't have to deal with all the other maniacs on Twitter, so it's a lot of fun. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm joining us here today. What a week! What a week we've got. What a weekend. It's going to be a wild next 2 days. If you're a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com, we had a 90-minute show last night talking Dynamite and NXT for this week. And tonight, Dave and Garrett will be doing a show talking about Collision and everything else. And then tomorrow is going to be wild. Vinny and I are going to be watching All In and then doing a show. And then Great American Bash and then doing a show. And then Saturday night's main event and then doing a show. And then I will do a show with Dave. 4 shows for subscribers tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we'll have 2 shows covering Evolution. One with Vinny and I and Craig, and one with Dave covering all the news as well. It is going to be very busy. So sign up today if you haven't already. And here's what we got. SmackDown is tonight. The Street Profits defend the tag titles against the Wyatt Six. I guess maybe there could be a title change. I sure wouldn't. And R-Truth will be facing Aleister Black. And then we got the Supercard of Honor, Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. And top 2 matches, Bandito versus Takeshita for the ROH World title. And given the show is in Texas, what might be the main event, Athena versus Thunder Rosa for the Ring of Honor Women's title. Also, Lee Moriarty versus Blue Panther for the Ring of Honor Pure title. Sons of Texas against the Infantry for the tag titles. Nick Wayne versus Titan for the TV title. I have no idea who. 2 women are going to have an interim match for the women's TV title since Red Velvet is injured. So yes, she has not been stripped of the title. It is an interim. We're getting another belt.
So we're going back to that.
Women's TV title match. And the Dark Order will face the Frat House. That's coming up tonight on Honor Club, Supercard of Honor. Then we got All In. This airs at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern tomorrow. We have got Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World title in a Texas death match. I don't think there is any conceivable scenario where Hangman Page does not win this title from Jon Moxley tomorrow. I know some people are petrified. I don't think it's going to happen. Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné for the women's title, which I would say is a toss-up, to be honest. Do you have a prediction for that one?
I'm leaning towards Tony, just so you don't put, quite literally, all your eggs in one basket.
Well, that would be a lot of eggs in a single basket. That is true. Okada Omega, winner takes all for the unified title. The winner is leaving with 3 belts. A continental belt, an international belt, and a unified belt. AW is adding 2 belts this weekend alone. We have got Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey and Christian and Nick Wayne in a 3-way for the tag titles. I also would say it's a toss-up, Kenny and Okada. I do think that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are retaining the titles in this match. And somebody is doing something. Could be the return of Copeland. Could be the return of Luchasaurus. Something's happening in this match. And Shelton and Bobby, I believe, are retaining. Adam Cole, Kyle Fletcher. To me, that's a title change for the TNT title. Trios titles. Joe, Shibata, and Hobbs versus Claudio, Wheeler, and Gabe Kidd. I think the baby faces retain there. I think the Death Riders are just all going down on Saturday. Then we build from there. Men's Casino Gauntlet and the Women's Casino Gauntlet for a future world title shot. Man, I got no idea. I mean, if it's me, it's that freaking Mark Briscoe. Golly, that guy is so awesome. Did you guys see his promo on Collision last night? When that guy is like in full Mark Briscoe, out of his mind, just wacky mode. I mean, his promos are incredible. But last night, he's angry. This guy talked... What was that?
Is it a shot at any title or the world title specific?
World title.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him against Hangman.
I don't know, man. Golly. This guy, this promo he cut on MJF, I mean, dead serious. I mean, he didn't drop the accent because he has an accent, but as Mark Briscoe, he plays up the accent. Man, this was one of the best promos of the year that Mark Briscoe cut. And there was no comedy, there was no goofiness. This was a man who's ready to just beat some dude down.
I just wouldn't want my newly crowned babyface world champion to fight a super hot popular babyface.
Well, the fact of the matter is it's just a future shot. It's not like it's going to be all out they could save this for way down the road. He's just going to have it at some point. We've got the Women's Casino Gauntlet. I got no prediction there. Will Ospreay and Swerve versus the Young Bucks. Young Bucks surely winning that one. FTR versus the Outrunners. I think the Outrunners probably should win, but I mean, if they're going to get their big win over FTR, I'd prefer it wasn't on like a 0 hour. Should be on a big TV show and a big match or a pay-per-view, but whatever. And I'm not making this match up. Big Boom AJ, Ishii, Hologram, and Kyle O'Reilly against Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Lance Archer, and Hechicero. Which means, if there is a God, at some point, Big Boom AJ is going to work with Hechicero. Take my no money now.
But Hologram's going to win, because that's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to win. Great American Bash is head-to-head. I don't picture this taking one buy away from All In amongst people that really like AEW, especially because you can watch it whenever you want. Obafemi versus Inamura. I presume Obafemi is retaining the NXT title when the fornicator turns on poor Inamura. God. Sad. We got Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints. I thought Ricky was on his way to the main roster. Apparently not. I'd presume, I don't know. I mean, this is a toss-up to me. He probably should, either of these guys should be heading up. So, that's a toss-up there. Sol Ruka, I presume, beats Izzy Dame, but I could be wrong about that one as well. Jordan and Blake Monroe will beat JC and Fallon. And Javon Evans. Actually, I could see JC pinning Jordan, and then Jordan winning the title at Evolution. I think that's also possible. And then Javon Evans faces Jasper Troy. Then we got Saturday night's main event, Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso, which I presume Solo wins. I can't imagine otherwise. Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre. I presume Drew wins. He's just making his big return. And then we got the big one, everybody. I'm going to tell you what needs to happen. You got it? I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you what needs to happen. LA Knight defeats Seth Rollins. Everyone's going to go, what? Yes, LA Knight is going to beat Seth Rollins, okay? Goldberg is going to face Gunther in his retirement match for the World Heavyweight title in Atlanta in front of 12,000 maniacs who were so hot for this guy on Raw. He is going to spear and jackhammer this fella. And he's going to win the World Heavyweight title. And then Seth is immediately going to cash in, stomp him, take the belt. So yes, Goldberg will put someone over on the way out, but also he will win the title in front of his family in his hometown and get his revenge against Gunther. And then you have the obvious match of LA Knight, Seth Rollins for the title, because LA Knight just beat the guy on this show. And we only have like 2 weeks until SummerSlam, 3 weeks or something like that. So they got to do something. So that sets up the SummerSlam match, and it sets up a happy ending for Goldberg, and also a cash-in. No one's going to boo a cash-in. And that's that. I'll get your thoughts after the break, Lance. Observer Live. Well, Lance, what do you think of my Saturday night's main event scenario?
I don't mind it, but I think there is something to letting Goldberg sort of get that ovation and stand tall at the end. Like, even if he loses, but having a moment of respect with Gunther, and Gunther acknowledges him and leaves and lets him stand in the middle of the ring, I think there's something to that. And I think there could be a degree of respect earned from the fan base if Goldberg just goes out on his back.
Well, he's going to go out on his back with my scenario.
True, but...
That is true.
The one other thing that I thought of when you were talking, it's when you mentioned Athena, what do you think of Thunder taking the Ring of Honor women's title off of Athena finally and having Athena in the gauntlet and winning?
Well, sure, you can do anything you want, as we're all well aware, because it's fake. But here's why I think Athena is winning, okay? Because at the end of the day, it was only like 3-4 weeks ago that Thunder Rosa was like challenging Britt Baker on social media to try to get a match over the weekend. It's like Tony, especially with titles, it's like he's more of a long-term, like he's got a plan, you know, and it seemed like it wasn't that long ago she didn't know what she was doing. So I guess it's possible. But, you know, my presumption is, you know, she's a challenger on the show. It's in Texas, and that's what's going to happen. But you could certainly do that.
It just seems that Athena being Ring of Honor champ for 4 years seems to be a bit of a long-term plan that needs to wrap up.
Well, you know, this Tony does a lot of long-term slow booking, which is why when Dave was initially like, we can't go a year without Ospreay and Hangman challenging for the belt. I was like, a year in this company? You could easily go a year. I mean, he could, Jiminy Christmas. Like,
and it's really 9 or 10 months with the Owen.
Exactly. I mean, really, when did Moxley win the title? Like in the fall? Right? It's been close to a year for this Death Rider storyline. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and he takes his time, and it's not like we need to have 4 different world champions over the course of 12 months. I mean, it's probably going to be Hangman all the way till Wembley, would be my guess. I can't see a scenario where he's going to be crowned as the savior and top guy only to quickly lose it.
It's not like they don't have 15 other belts they could challenge for.
Before we get to Evolution, I would like to address what I thought was a good question. I think one of my subscribers on X sent it. Okay, yes, Max. He says, because somebody asked me, like, do you see any scenario where Moxley retains the title. And I was like, no, I do not see any scenario where that happens. And most everybody agreed, but, there's still people that get scared here and there. And so Max here says, I can't see Mox winning, or anyone really considering that option either. However, it is interesting to ponder how Tony would book if he went that route. It'd be about more than the result of the match. Like Cody after losing to Roman at Mania 39, it'd be about the next year of booking. So people have brought up this, Cody not finishing his story and then them delaying it another year and this and that. And that did happen. And I was there. And I was in the second row, actually, with, anyway, the point is, I was there in the second row. I was there for the chicken being thrown. I was there for all of it. And it was just like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. What in God's name just happened? And like I immediately figured Vince walked in this weekend and he just changed the finish. And allegedly that's not exactly what happened. Apparently they decided maybe a little earlier this or that or whatever. But at the time, I thought that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, okay? Well, you can think whatever you want on any given day, but then things change all the time. And I lived through the next year all the way to the next WrestleMania where he won the title. And I can tell you that that wasn't a disastrous finish at all. And I want to make very clear that just because it worked out doesn't mean you should ever do it again. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? This was a magical hurricane of events that all happened right at the same time, okay? This company was in the gutter. You guys remember 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021? Vince is around. He's doing all this craziness, okay? This thing was in the gutter, okay? Well, Cody came back. And that was a real big deal when he came back. And then he tore his pec and did that match with Seth, that Hell in a Cell match with the torn pec. And he gained a lot of people's respect. Maybe if anyone didn't respect him when he first came back, because with the WWE audience, a top guy coming from AEW to WWE, they were like, yeah, he's our guy now. And they were like totally into him. And then on top of that, he did that match with the torn pec and the pain and everything. And they were like, he was the guy, okay? So they start building up to this story of him finishing his story. But at the same time, this whole Roman Reigns bloodline, Sammy's in there, it's getting really entertaining, and Jey Uso, it was getting hot. And the entire WWE business, it all started to turn around, okay? So, if you watch what they did after Cody lost, well, what happened after Cody lost? Roman Reigns vanished for months. They brought in Brock Lesnar to murder Cody as his first big opponent. And literally, for the whole year, they built the entire promotion around Cody anyway. They basically booked him like he was the champion. He headlined pay-per-views. He was the top guy. And meanwhile, Roman, because he would come in and out, and you were doing the bloodline thing, and then the Sammy thing got really hot and everything, you had all sorts of stuff to carry you for that full year until you gave the title to Cody the following year. It was I'm going to put it this way. I thought it was incredibly stupid when I saw it happen, but they got lucky. It's not all luck because a lot of it, was by design and they did this and that, but there's no guarantee that was going to happen. There's no guarantee that was going to happen. So to say you could hold off Hangman for another year, or hey, let's hold off Mike Santana for another year. He can lose in his hometown and hold it off for another year. Yeah, you can try. It might work. But, this was a magical storm that made it work when he lost that title.
Yeah, and I think the big difference, too, is, like, if your scenario is keep the title on Moxley, I don't think your thought process is, okay, we have to keep Hangman hot until he eventually does beat Moxley. Where Cody was the finish the story. Like, that was the quest, that was the journey. But it's like, if Mox beats Hangman, it's like they're just going to go to a different challenger. It's like, it's not like they're going to come up with a scenario to prolong the Hangman push. And I think AEW, and this is the difference between the two, they do tell stories, but they do it differently than WWE. WWE is very much this long narrative with all these things, where AEW is more about the matches and the winning and the chasing and certain individual feuds. It would be a lot harder to maintain a Hangman Page quest for a year than it is a Cody finishing the story. Hangman needs to win this damn thing.
Yes, I think it would be ridiculous to not do it. I mean, if I'm Tony Khan, do not sit there and look at the Cody story and think we can do the same thing with Hangman. There's like everything could have gone wrong. WWE was very lucky that everything went right. So it was one of those right place, right time, right people, right scenario. They lucked out. So don't try it. So then Evolution, we have Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus, and I don't picture a title change here. And I also don't, part of it is because I'm predicting a cash-in for Saturday, but apparently there's like a new blinking, flashing, fancy briefcase that Naomi has, and I don't picture them cashing that thing in quick. They're going to want to market that thing, make a big deal out of it. So I don't think there's a cash-in for the women this weekend. Rhea, I think, beats Io because they pushed so hard that Rhea's never beat her in a singles match. Jordan, I think Jordan beats JC. I would be stunned if that didn't happen, to be honest. I think Becky's going to retain. Something's going to happen with the other two, screwing it up for each other or something. I'm predicting Raquel and Roxanne retain. I know a lot of people are thinking Charlotte and Alexa, which I guess is possible. I don't see Asuka and Kairi. I don't see Sol and Zarya. So it's either Roxanne and Raquel or Charlotte and Alexa, and I'm gonna just presume they retain.
I think Raquel and Roxanne, primarily because it continues the lineage, because they started doing it. Yes, you can take over for Liv if you win on this show. If someone else is just going to win it on this show, they could have just stripped them, held it up, and crowned a new champion here. Like, I think you have to have Raquel and Roxanne win just sort of to keep the story going.
Well, the other thing, too, is the whole story. Well, I'll get to this after the break. Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm joining us here today. And what I was going to mention is that Liv is gone. And the whole story is that Raquel wanted nothing to do with Roxanne, hated her. Liv hated her. But Roxanne is slowly proving her worth. And given that Liv's going to be gone for a long time, I think she needs to keep proving her worth for a while now. And immediately losing those tag team titles is not proving her worth. So,
yeah, if they keep the title, she stays in Judgment Day, whether they're happy about it or not.
Yes. So, all right. Then we've got. And what are they doing with JC and Jordan and Slammiversary? What are they doing there? I've actually got the lineup here.
Whoever wins between Jordan and JC and becomes the NXT Women's Champion will face Masha Slamovich at Slammiversary, title for title.
I see. So it's a double title match. So the winner's leaving with both belts?
Yes. And we will not be making a third one.
So there's going to be a double champion on NXT. Okay.
And TNA.
Well, yeah, of course. It's a TNA title. All right, we've got No Holds Barred, Jade Cargill, and Naomi. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the Battle Royal for the title shot at the Clash in Paris. Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vaquer, Natty, Maxine Dupree, Nia Jax, Ivy, Zelina, Julia, Lash, Izzy, Tatum, Kalani, Lola, and Jada. 6 mystery women still to be announced. So it's actually not that match. It's a different match I got to talk about. It's on the Great American Bash show. So they're doing Falls Count Anywhere with Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. And someone there texted me today, and they were like, I don't know what's going to happen with this match because it's at center stage. It seats 700. It is a tiny venue, and they're doing Falls Count Anywhere. So pretty much they're guaranteed to have to leave the building.
They have to.
I mean, you can't do it in there.
There's a ring in the seats. That's it.
Yes. So I don't even know if they thought about that before they made this announcement. But
there's barely ringside area for dives.
Dude, there's no room for a Falls Count Anywhere match. So I guess they're going to be brawling into Atlanta. Which, by the way, that's not... I've driven by center stage when I was in Atlanta. I don't know if I want to be brawling outside the building in that area, but whatever.
There's a parking garage they could use.
I guess. There was a lot of razor wire, from what I remember. All right. Well, that's the lineup for the week, everybody. And a couple of TNA notes, which is good because Lance is here. So we do have a full lineup because Slamversary is next weekend. So next week's TV has Joe Hendry and Mike Santana versus Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian. Moose versus Sami Callihan. Tessa Blanchard versus Danny Luna. And Mustafa Ali, Jason Hotch, and John Schuyler versus JDC, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers. It's a go-home show for Slammiversary, which is in New York. And Mike Santana is going for that title against Joe Hendry and Trick Williams. He's got to pin Trick. Do you understand, Lance?
Whoever wins...
I will banish you from this show if they screw this up.
If the title changes hands, God, I hope they pin Trick.
Then we've got the Masha match we talked about. We got a ladder match with Nick and Ryan Nemeth against the Hardys, Trey Miguel and Zach Wentz, and AJ Francis and Casey. So Casey's back? He's good?
Yeah, he wrestled on Impact this week.
Okay. We got Moose against Leon Slater, champion Moose, for the X Division belt. We've got Ash and Heather by Elegance versus the Inspiration, the former Iconics, for the tag team titles. Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander. So he is not part of the Hurt Business, everybody. He is debuted with TNA. And Tessa Blanchard versus Indy Hartwell. Tessa Blanchard and Indy Hartwell. That's the match. The Dynamite show did a very good number. 637,000 viewers, up 10% from last week. Did a .16, which is the same as the week prior.
0.16.
Stop it, you. So I will say that it is, they're doing much, much better in the last 6 months or so, but their 18 to 49 is still down 30% year over year. So that's a demo they need to work on. And there you go. We've got Trey Miguel undergoing surgery soon. He has to undergo hernia surgery after Slammiversary. Says a minor operation, but a full recovery expect. I hope so. These hernias are no joke, dude. I've known several people that got hernias and surgeries, and very rapidly undid the surgery, which you do not want to do.
My wife had a hernia surgery a couple years back.
Hopefully all the best to him and
She
her.
didn't come back and have to wrestle, though.
No. She had to deal with you.
That could be harder.
I was going to say, God. And then we got a vignette. Enzo Amore is coming to Impact. Enzo Amore is coming to Impact, which means we could see Enzo Amore on NXT. How about that?
Again, the way, I'm assuming you didn't see the show, it was
paid for by Fourth Rope Wrestling.
Paid for by, very reminiscent of the NWO, where it was a paid, what's the word I'm looking for?
Advertisement?
Yeah, it wasn't the word used, but yeah, paid promotion by Fourth Rope, and Enzo cut a promo.
Wow. Enzo Amore. And then we've got this incredible news. So they've got that Street Fighter movie coming out. You know about that?
Half the wrestling business is in it.
That Street Fighter movie, 50 Cent, Jason Momoa, who, by the way, was the highlight of that, what was that movie that just came out? My kids loved it. Minecraft.
Where he looked like a Samoan
he literally
Jimmy
looked
Garvin?
like an 80s wrestler. He basically
Jimmy
was
Garvin.
an 80s wrestler in the movie.
With the jacket with the leather fringe and the hair. It was Jimmy Garvin, dude.
Yes, him and Jack Black were the highlights of that movie. And also in this movie, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Okay? Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, 50 Cent, and Jason Momoa. Added to the cast is Hiroki Goto. What is going on? What is going on? Like, I don't care one bit about Street Fighter. I didn't grow up playing Street Fighter. I'm not a Street Fighter guy. I cannot wait to go to this movie.
You and Filthy Tom need to review this film.
Oh my God. I need to review this with everybody. This will be a classic. It may not be any good, but it's going to be a classic. Let me tell you. All right. Some notes from Collision. I thought Collision was a good show overall. It opened up with the Don Callis family against Paragon, which was a very good match. Cole got the win with the boom. That Don Callis was upset. Fletcher went after Cole. Cole avoided it. And Callis told him, don't take the bait. And so they're holding off until Sunday. Very good match. Very, very good match. Got some We Want Kyle chants, but didn't catch on like it did in Seattle. We had a John Moxley promo backstage, and then the return of Technique by Taz as he went over La Mystica. That was awesome.
Definitely a move Taz has never done.
Then we had a segment that I would be fine if they... I want a best of 52 match, and we do this match every week for 52 weeks on Collision. Mystico against the Beast Mortos. This match was awesome. It's just Mystico being Mystico and the Beast Mortos being the Beast Mortos. They are perfect for each other. And the finish was La Mystica, which I think you can't really do a best of 52 because that should really be the finish in every match. MJF then appeared with the Mystico mask and vowed to take every single one of Mystico's masks until he was forced to show his ugly face. I don't think that's how it works. Pretty sure he can make new masks. We had the awesome Mark Briscoe promo, which I strongly recommend everybody watches. He's the greatest. He needs to be the AEW champion someday. I don't care how you do it. It's got to happen. He's the greatest. And then we had a segment taped after Dynamite with Renee, and she wants to interview Hangman. He goes, I don't need to talk to you. And he walks into Swerve's locker room, and Ospreay's sitting there talking to Swerve, and all of a sudden Ospreay, like a cartoon, he's like a Muppet. He goes, He's all worried, and he's got to get out of here. And then Nana goes, I'm going to go get some coffee as well. So they both get out of there. So these two guys are there, and it's just a great promo where Hangman pretty much says, you know, you broke into my house, and to this day, my son, he still has nightmares. He still thinks he sees you in the room. And for that, I hate you, and I'm always going to hate you. But I do regret how far it went. And I want to know if you regret what happened. And Swerve basically says, you know, if I hadn't won the title, I would have said no. But after everything that went down, winning the title and everything, he says, yeah, I do regret it. And so Hangman ends up dropping a chain on the floor, and then he leaves, and then Swerve picks up the chain, and he wraps it around his arm. So they're telling the story here that in the end, these guys do hate each other, but they both, I mean, Hangman basically said, like, you know you deserved it, right? You know you deserve this. And Swerve, you know, he did it. He knows, but he did it. So neither of them are going back on their hatred for each other over what happened. But Swerve did say, you know, I was gonna raise my kids in that house. I was even gonna give the house to my grandkids. Now it's gone. And he says, maybe we do need to let the past go after all. So it was an excellent segment.
They've admitted they're birds of a feather.
Yes. We had another awesome match, FTR and the Patriarchy versus the Outrunners and Jet Speed. God. Oh my God, dude. Somebody on the board, I think they were, I don't know why they said it, but they were like, I wish Outrunners would go to WWE. I think they were like indicating that they're not a good fit for AEW, and it's like, it's because they don't do flips. Bro, these guys are an awesome tag team. They're exactly like FTR, who I don't see anyone else go and they don't belong in AEW. I mean, they are so good, and golly gee, this frickin' cow.
Could you have a more old school, new school 8-man tag than the Outrunners and Jet Speed?
And Truth Magnum, dude, is the best babyface in peril. He is the best. And they just did the most old school tag team match, teasing the tag. They even did the spot where Truth made the tag and the ref didn't see it. These fans are furious. They are so angry. And the ref is like trying not to smile because he's got so much heat from this spot. I mean, it was just awesome. So Jet Speed got the win, beating FTR. So another big match going into the pay-per-view. We had Gabe Kidd beating Shibata with a low blow and a pile driver. And then the main event was very much like the NXT show. It was all the women, because they're setting up a battle royal themselves. Willow, Mina, Thunder Rosa, and Queen Aminata versus Megan Bayne, Tekla, Julia Hart, and Athena. And it was much better than the NXT segment because it wasn't 15 minutes of boring talking. They had a pretty dang good match. And Nightingale ended up hitting her big power bomb on Julia Hart and getting the pin. And then we had a big brawl with the women. It was a good show. Second really good collision in a row. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Well, we made it through the calm before the storm. Now it's time to buckle down, everybody. We got a lot coming up tonight. I'm going to try and watch both of these shows. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get through them both. Being here on the West Coast, I'm going to do my best. And then tomorrow's everything. All 3 shows watched and covered. WrestlingObserver.com, F4WOnline.com/Apple, F4WOnline.com/Spotify, F4WOnline.com/YouTube. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And Lance will be back here Tuesday. We'll be doing a lot. I'm not sure if there's going to be a Observer Live on Monday. It's about 50-50 right now. But we're going to do our best, and we will for sure be up all weekend covering everything, so make sure you check that out. And any other plugs, Lance, before we go?
No, just Slamversary next weekend. So if you survive this one, be sure to catch Slam in New York on the 20th.
That's right. Next weekend is TNA Slamversary. Trick Williams, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana, plus Masha Slamovich versus whoever leaves as champion between JC Jane and Jordan Grace on Sunday. So that's it, everybody. We're going to wrap it up. Want to thank everybody who watched today, all of our friends on YouTube and Twitch, and Sports Byline, TuneIn Radio. We'll be back later on this weekend for a lot more up at WrestlingObserver.com, so check it out. And that's it, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.